Test. Good morning, everyone. My name is Staff Sergeant Bear. I'm with the United States Army Recruiting Office, and today I'm here to bring you a briefing on our science, technology, engineering, and math careers within the United States Army. STEM careers are a vital part of life today, and they are always in high demand. Something to keep in mind is STEM careers tend to be very rewarding jobs for people who often have a strong passion of helping others. They tend to involve lengthy schools that require a large commitment up front for you to get into. One nice thing that the Army does is when you pick your job, we provide all your training and all your certifications to get into your career field, which affords you the freedom of getting into the career that you want to do without having to be burdened by the financial debt of figuring out how to pay for things like medical school or getting your MBA or going for your PhD. So you have the ability to pursue your dreams while building your resume and getting the experience through the Army. So let's talk about some of these options. Let's start with science. So when it comes to science careers, I've spoken with a lot of people who are looking to get into things such as medical and research. And even here in Alaska, you have people who want to get into things like the oil industry. Some of the science careers that the Army has that we offer are our Medical Service Corps. We have Medical Service Corps officers that cover various medical fields within the United States Army. We have environmental science engineering officers. We have biochemists, physiologists, microbiologists, clinical laboratory scientists, and research psychologists. So if you're looking to get into the medical field and you want to go to med school, the Army is a great way to start. The easiest thing you can do is join the Army into a medical career, get your bachelor's degree finished while the Army pays for it. We're going to give you tuition assistance while you're in. We're going to give you the post 9/11 GI Bill, which is a fully funded scholarship to get your bachelor's degree. Once you finish your bachelor's degree, you typically will take your MCAT testings and then apply for the Healthcare Specialist Scholarship Program. With that program, the Army's going to send you to medical school. They're going to take care of your residency, and you're going to come out on the other end in the medical field that you're looking to go into. And that's the job you'll do for the Army. This means you've gone through your bachelor's degree, through med school, through your residency, all fully funded by the Army. And the whole time, you've been getting full pay and benefits in doing so. So you've been building your resume. You haven't been burying yourself in debt. And now you're in the medical field. You can go into research, you can go into being an OR surgeon, you can go into the hospital, pediatrics. The opportunities are really kind of endless and only limited by what you're looking to pursue. Environmental science and engineering officers. Something to keep in mind is the Army has made a strong commitment to doing everything we can to reduce our carbon footprint as much as we possibly can. And we have officers specifically with degrees in fields to help us do that. We're constantly researching how can we do what the Army needs us to do, but leave as little of an impact as we possibly can. And these are some of the fields that really research and study new ways and new technologies and how to do that. Our biochemists and physiologists, those are the people doing research on preventing deadly diseases and stuff like that. If you're looking to, say, get into preventing pandemics like our current COVID-19 outbreak that we're in, this would be a great field to go into, and the Army's a great way to help you do that. Same with microbiologists. Clinical laboratory scientists go right hand in hand with your biochemists and your microbiologists. Research psychologists, if you want to get into research, that the Army has those careers for you. Those are officer level positions, which means you will have to get your bachelor's degree, and oftentimes with those careers go through med school before you can start those positions. But the Army has a pathway for you to get there. Start off as enlisted, get your bachelor's, go to med school. We'll cover it all. On the enlisted side, careers that can really springboard you into the above listed careers are things such as our medical laboratory specialists. Those are your lab techs. Those are the people, anytime you get blood work done, they're the ones that are sending off and running the tests and doing that work. Optical laboratory specialists, those are the people when you're going to get your eyes examined, they're working with the eye doctor and doing a lot of the work there as well. Petroleum laboratory specialists, a lot of people don't realize that our petroleum laboratory specialists, we have people who are there to test all of our fuels to make sure that they don't have anything in them that shouldn't be there, that they don't have excess water, that they are good to go. So when our planes and our helicopters and our wheeled vehicles are getting fueled up, that there's nothing wrong with that fuel. It's very important when you're flying something like a helicopter that the fuel in it is running the way it's supposed to, so that way nothing goes wrong with that engine, because at the end of the day, if something happens in the air, you can't just pull over like you would in a car. So we have our petroleum laboratory specialists that run all the testing on all of our fuels to make sure that they're properly refined, and if they need to be further filtered or refined, they get that done. Now, these careers are not all-encompassing. You can start as anything in the Army and still move on and advance into the careers that we talked about before, so keep that in mind. The Army is always changing, and that includes our soldiers as well. I myself was a chemical, biological, radiation, nuclear specialist for the Army. Before I was that, I started off in culinary arts. I started in food service and decided that I wanted to make a career change, and the Army sent me to school to learn a whole new career, and I went from working in a dining facility to working in hazmat suits. Technology careers. This is one of our larger career fields. Obviously, it's 2020. Technology covers about everything you touch nowadays. And get the slideshow. So, things to keep in mind. We have people in careers that cover all aspects when it comes to technology. We have cable systems installers. We have the people that run the fiber optic cables and the Cat5 cables, and bury the wires and make sure that they get repaired when they get broken. A lot of people don't realize that there are fiber optic cables that run on the ocean floor all across the world, and they need to be maintained and oftentimes updated. We have people in career fields that do that all over the world to make sure that our networks are up and running and they're running in the capacity that we need them to. We have our network system specialists. Those are the people that set up the servers, that set up the virtual private networks to make sure that all of our data is properly encrypted and make sure all the lines keep open, so that way we can keep doing what we need to do. We have our computer technical people that set up the computers, make sure that they're properly formatted and have all the software that they need on them to run, and that all the hardware is working properly. So it doesn't matter what part of working with electronics and communications and computers that you want to get into, we really have a career for it. We have people that we send into cyber warfare schools. We have people who get taught how to ethically hack our systems. We train our own soldiers to turn around and try to hack into our own systems so we can identify vulnerabilities and fix those issues to make sure that no foreign adversaries can get into our systems and cause problems for the United States Army. Something people don't often think about when it comes to technology careers are things such as our multimedia illustrators and broadcasting specialists. If you like art and design, you want to get into things such as graphic design, we have a job for that. You could be a multimedia illustrator in the Army and do everything from physical drawings on canvas and paper up through building them up in CAD, Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and so forth. And the Army has a career for that. A lot of people might not realize that a lot of the graphics that you see in the Army and a lot of the different GIFs and images you see, we had soldiers that took time and created those images. So, and we have our own journalists, our own broadcast specialists, our own photographers. They are trained and certified in those fields, and they oftentimes take what they've learned in the Army and have extremely rewarding careers in those fields outside the Army. And it's really a big boost for their resume to say that they were a combat documentary specialist. So when it comes to technology, it's really the sky's the limit with that. You know, we have our own drone pilots. We have even our field artillery firefighter radar operators. We have people that operate radars to make sure that anytime we do need to use something like an artillery round, it's going where it needs to go, and we're seeing anything that might be coming back to us as well. Let's see if that'll cycle like it's supposed to. Engineering. I love our engineering fields. I've always been more of a hands-on person. I personally love to build and craft things, and engineering's always had a special place in my heart. When it comes to engineering fields in the Army, we have our combat engineers. These are people who like to work with explosives, demolitions, C4, as you can see on the videos here. They do controlled detonations and controlled explosions. Our geospatial engineers, these are the people that handle our geospatial engineers are the people that handle our topographical surveys, making maps, taking satellite imagery and analyzing it to identify any areas that might cause an issue for our construction teams, or find good areas where we might be able to set up our bases and stuff to make sure that we are minimizing our impact on the environment, but also have the facilities in the areas that we need. So if you like working with stuff like Google Earth and reading topographical maps, our geospatial engineers might be a great career field for you. Horizontal construction engineer, we have soldiers that their job is to build roads, like, you know, from doing the heavy earth moving to doing the surveying to laying out and mapping out the roads and even fixing potholes. Those are jobs you can do in the Army. We also have vertical engineers. We have engineers that their job is to build hospitals, build schools, to go out there and fix and repair. We have carpenters, we have plumbers, we have electricians. There is no aspect when it comes to building a building that we don't have soldiers trained in those fields. Our special forces engineers, sergeants, when it comes to special forces, those guys get trained in all the engineering jobs. So they get the construction, the demolition, they get the surveying and the map reading. They are kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to their career fields. We have our technical engineers. Those are your surveyors, they're kind of over most of the engineering fields. They do a lot of the site surveying. So if you're ever driving down the road and you see somebody with a yellow tripod and they look like they're measuring stuff, those are those are your technical engineers, and those are some great careers that you can do in the Army that have valuable skills when you leave the Army. We'll let some of the videos play here quick. Once again, when it comes to the officer careers, you will need to obtain your bachelor's degree in order to apply for those careers, and the Army will pay for you to get your bachelor's degree. So if you want to get into engineering, start as an enlisted engineer in the Army. Let us send you to college, get your degree, and apply for our officer candidate school. Something also to keep in mind that really tends to apply for our engineering as well as all of our other careers is the Army has a program called the Army Civilian Acquired Skills Program. This is for people who already have experience in those fields and already have the licensing and credentialing needed. You can actually join the Army, and once you've completed your basic training, go straight into your unit if you already have the requirements you need to do your job. The Army doesn't need to retrain you in what you already know if you can already establish that you have the experience you need for that career field. So our Civilian Acquired Skills Program allows you typically to come in at a higher promotion rate. Oftentimes you come in as a specialist instead of as just a private, and you can skip a lot of the training path because you've already proven that you have the skills you need to do that job. Can't skip math. All right, mathematics. A lot of our careers, really touch into the math fields. In fact, some of them require that you've already taken classes like algebra, physics, or even trigonometry before you're eligible to get into one of those fields. Some of them listed here are human intelligence collectors. These typically require very smart individuals. They are, tasked with going out and talking with the public or even doing possible interrogations to gather intelligence for our intel analysts. Ammunition stock control and accounting specialist. Every piece of munition that the Army has, there are people who their sole job is to make sure that they're properly handled, they're properly stored, that they're not degrading, that there's nothing wrong with them, and that they work when we need them to. Those are our ammunition stock control specialists. I'm going to back up just a little bit to talk a little bit more about them. So, think about that. That's, not just something like your 9mm round or our M4 ammunition. That goes all the way up to our large 120mm artillery rounds. So we have people who have to make sure that all this munition is properly handled, stored, and safeguarded, and it's always accounted for. The Army doesn't like anything to go missing. Financial management technician. The Army has certified financial accountants. We have soldiers who their sole job is to make sure that everybody's getting properly paid, getting their proper benefits, and if anything's wrong with them, they can go in and fix it. Because at the end of the day, as a soldier, you're getting paid salary. You're not getting paid to count hours. You're not getting paid to work a 9 to 5. You get paid whether you're working one day that month or every day that month. And our finance people make sure that at the end of the day, when you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, that pay is accurate and it's what it's supposed to be. Because the last thing we want our soldiers to have to worry about is any issues with their finances. And so they take great care to make sure that everybody's getting paid properly. We also have our unit supply specialists, automated logistics specialists. Something to keep in mind is the Army has entire career fields that run kind of like Amazon. We have warehouses that store all of our supplies, everything from our pencils and notebooks all the way up to ordering a new Humvee or an MRAP. And we have supply and logistical specialists that manage all of those supply lines to make sure that we get the equipment where it needs to be when it needs to be there. And there's priority orders for who needs it sooner versus who needs it later. And they make sure that that flow is constantly moving so nobody So nobody's sitting down in a unit waiting for a MRAP tire to show up, and they can't get the MRAP fixed because they don't have a tire. No, we have supply specialists to make sure we have enough on hand to maintain our vehicles and make sure all of our equipment is working properly. It takes a lot of coordination with supply chains to make that work. So if you think you would have a skill in doing that and managing all of that stuff, that might be a good career field for you. So, things to keep in mind when it comes to STEM careers in the United States Army. They're in high demand. We have a huge need for people with a passion in those careers. We'll provide all your training, your certifications, your licensing to make sure that you can do that job when you leave the Army as well. Typically, your average soldier will serve for 4 years before getting out. That went a little early. So, you do 4 years in the Army, come out, possibly have your bachelor's degree or more, or be ready to finish your bachelor's degree. You've got experience in your career field, and you are ready to move on to the next path in life, not burdened with debt, not trying to figure out how are you going to get hired in your field. You already have your references, your resume built, and you are ready to go. Not everybody stays in the Army 20 years to retirement. A lot of people do their 4 years, take the training and experience that they've had, and they move on to the next part of their life. If you're currently working a job, you might know some people who have previously served in the Army, and they might have a leg up on their peers because of the abilities and the skills that the Army afforded to them. So remember, when you join the Army, you pick your job. We don't pick it for you. We show you everything that's available to you, and we do whatever we can to get you into the career field that you're looking to do. So if you have a passion for science, technology, engineering, or math, give us a call. It's kind of one of those things where even if you start off in a field that you come to find out that, hey, this isn't the career for you, we'll let you change that field and keep moving on. And just because you are an engineering soldier doesn't mean you have to go to school for that. If you could start as an engineering school while working on your bachelor's degree to get into med school. We're not going to tell you what to study in school. We're just going to say, hey, we're going to give you money to get your degree and get it paid for. So joining the Army has been one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. I've been full-time, I've been part-time, and I came back onto full-time. It's allowed me to raise a family and know that they are always taken care of. The benefits are just almost endless. I don't have to worry if my kids, get sick, whether or not to take them to the hospital because I don't think I could afford it. I don't have to worry about that because I know I can take them to the hospital and I'm not getting a bill for it. I take them, make sure they get better. I don't have to worry about how am I going to pay for my degree. The Army has allowed me to have my degree fully paid for through the tuition assistance, and it's given me the ability to transfer my post 9/11 GI Bill to my kids. So not only was my college paid for, my kids' college is going to be paid for as well, just from my service. It's allowed me to travel the world, see different places. I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Virginia, Alaska, Georgia, I've lived in Colorado, I've lived in Minnesota. The ability to move and relocate and really kind of see where do I want to end up. That is something I truly love about the Army, and that's why I keep doing it, because I get to travel, I get to gain new experiences, and I get to advance new schools. If I get to a point in my career where I no longer enjoy what I'm doing, I can put in a request to change my job and get into a whole new field. So when I retire from the Army, I already know, hey, here's where my passions are, here's what I love to do, and the Army's afforded me the opportunity to do that the whole way. A lot of people don't realize that typically when you go to college, you're going to change your major 2 or 3 times before you settle in on a degree. The Army gives you the flexibility to change your major as much as you want, but also to change your job. You know, do what you love what you do. The Army's here to help you with that. Sorry, I absolutely love that commercial. So, for anybody out there who might have any questions, you can put them in the comments. We're going to share this video and try to keep it in the event page as well. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comments, as well as if you want to learn more, be sure to text AC. Nope, sorry, let me make sure to send us a message, and I will get you the code to text to also, where you can also get more information, as well as ask any questions you might have. Anybody who texts A as in Apple, P as in Papa, Q as in Quebec 9 to 462-769, we will reach out and contact you to see what you're interested in and try to help you get that information and see if the Army's a good fit for you. But it also enters you into the drawing for the iPad we're giving away as well. So that code is APQ9. Text it to 462-769. If anybody has any questions, I will be happy to answer them and help in any way I can. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. We're going to be giving our next presentation at 12:30. It's going to be Staff Sergeant Platt with the United States Army Reserves. Be sure to tune in for that. And you can ask us any questions along the way. And we are here to help. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. And also happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. We greatly appreciate your service.